Hello, Tony here from Lightwave Digital. In today's tutorial we're going to be making this little leprechaun hat for St Patrick's Day. So I started by getting a reference image from the internet, this one here, just so I can look at, and then I just kind of figured out how I could make the hat in a very basic way, and I came up with this. So let's see how we can do this. So let's close this down. So the first thing I did is I used the disc tool, and in the top view I just drew out a bit of an oval shape like so. So why I've drew it out like this, and we've got the orange handles. Press N on your keyboard, brings up the numerical. For sides I've got 34. For the X, Y and Z we can put 0 in each of these so it's centered, and then for the actual thickness let's go and make it say 5, let's say 5 mil based on the size we've made it. So we're not making it to any kind of scale. Okay, so shut this down, press spacebar, and then press A on your keyboard and it'll center. So this is what we've got. We've got this shape, and somehow we've got to kind of come up with making the hat. So the first thing I'm going to do is select polygons in the bottom corner here, look, and then select the top and the bottom poly like this, and we're going to make some more polygons. So under multiply we'll go to bevel, hold control down on your keyboard, so this is going to stop it from going up and down. We're just going to bring a rows of polys going in. So the first time you do this you hold control, and with your left mouse button you just bring it in like this. Then let go of the left mouse, then click on your right and carry on, and then carry on bringing the different rows in till you kind of get to about here. Okay, about this kind of shape, and then you've got this oval shape here. So go to modify, stretch, hold control, and then in the top view just drag it so it's a bit thinner like this. So that's all we want. So all you've got is this shape. Okay, so press spacebar to drop the tool, and then underneath I want you to deselect the bottom poly like so, and then we're just going to bring the middle part of the hat up using the bevel tool. So again, multiply, bevel, and in maybe your front view you kind of click, and then once you've brought it up a little bit, let's just do that again. So once you've brought it up a little bit and out, just keep bringing it up and out until you kind of get this kind of shape. Now it depends on how many, it's up to you how high you want it to go within reason. If you're going wrong and you think it's wrong, if you control Z it, it will go back, and then what you can do, you can zoom in and you can make shorter or smaller bevels coming up and decide, and it's slowly, each one's slowly going out a little bit, so you kind of you're getting something like this. Okay, and then I'd suggest at the top you kind of right mouse click with the bevel and maybe bring it in a little bit as well, and then what I'm doing on the very top is I'm holding control and I'm bringing it in a little bit to about here. And while the polygon's selected, under multiply, go down to the subdivision, and under more there's a make pole, and if you click it, it adds a point and makes the polygons connected to it. So you've kind of got this. Okay, so the next bit we've got to do is make the edges, so that we've got to kind of figure out how we can make these bits. So slightly crude way of doing it. So while you're on points here, look in the bottom left, I want you to right mouse click and select half of one side of all the points. Okay, like so. Now once you select stuff like this you can manipulate them. So I could literally go to say the move tool, and I can move stuff out and do what I kind of want with them. All I want to do is rotate them and make the kind of them arch a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to rotate, and Y at the bottom here, look, I'm on mouse, which means wherever I click with the mouse it's going to rotate. And then what I can do is I can rotate. So let's rotate them up a little bit. I'm not overlapping this first load of edges here. I don't want to do that because you'll get a bit of overlapping geometry. And then what I'll do is I'm going to press the space bar to drop it, and then while you're on points, right mouse click and deselect that first load of row, connected them both together there, and then go back to your actual hat, go back to rotate, and let's rotate it up again a bit more. And then what we'll do is we'll let's deselect these two lots of rows badly. Here we go. So what I want is I just want the two outer rows, zoom in, rotate them in a bit more. It's up to you how far. And then lastly, I'm going to deselect all these here, because what I want to do is the very outside row, I'm going to rotate the opposite way. So I don't want any of these. Yep. So what I want to do with this outside one is I'm just going to go back to rotate. So Y on your keyboard, I'm just going to rotate it the opposite way, like so. So it kind of comes out. So you're getting that shape. Very crude. Don't worry about it. Then I want you to repeat the process on the opposite side. So again, you're just coming down here with the points, and you're kind of right mouse clicking, and you're lassoing, drawing around all the points. You don't need those ones. And I'm doing the same thing again, exactly the same. I'm going to rotate using the Y. I'm going to rotate the first bit so I'm up so I'm not overlapping the first row of geometry on the cap. I'm then going to deselect the next row and then carry on rotating until I get the same shape. So I'll skip this to the next bit. Okay, so I've rotated both sides like so. Say we've got this crude looking thing. So I think it's a little bit too long maybe. So all we could do is go to modify stretch, and we could just stretch it in a little bit like so. But the next thing we need to do is we need to sort out this bottom bit here. Look, so we'll switch to polygons and then click on this polygon here, and then what we want to do is bring it inside the hat. So I'm going to start by going to multiply bevel. I'm going to hold control and I'm going to bring it in a little bit like so, and then I'm just going to right mouse click and this time bring it up like so. And as I'm bringing it up, look, it's kind of going sideways a little bit, so we'll go to modify, move. I'm not too bothered about the actual inside because we're not going to see it when it's on the character's head or on the floor or whatever. Once you've brought it up like this and you've got that polygon selected still, under multiply, go down to more, make pole, and then like before, the inside. And what we've got now is this. So let's make it smoother by clicking the tab key on your keyboard, and this will subpatch it and smooth it round like so. So we kind of get the shape a little bit more. Now at this stage, it's up to you to decide, do I want to make it different? Now if there's few things you could do. You could go to the detail tab, edit edges, and then when you highlight any of the actual edges, you can click and you can move them, look, and you can manipulate how tight the actual bends and curves are. So this bottom one here, I can bring it down or in a little bit like so. And you can also, if you wanted to, so let's say for instance I want it to be a bit higher. So on no tool selected with points, let's just select these points, not that one, and you could move it up a little bit like so to make it a little bit more higher. Up to you completely. But anyway, we've got the kind of basic shape of the hat here. And what we can do now is, and again, you can manipulate any parts of these by any time. Let's just make the little belt bit. So if we look at the image again, there's like this little belt here. So let's make that, and let's just use what we've got. So I'm going to switch to polygons, / to drop any you've got, and then this row here. So these two rows here, let's use them. So I'm going to select a load of polys along the same loop of polys, and then I'm just going to go to select loop. Then I'm going to hold shift and select a load more polys on the row below and go select loop again. And then I've got these. So while these are selected like that, what I want to do is put these on a new layer. So I'm going to control C them. I'm going to bring up the layers panel, and then in a new layer, control V. So I've kind of got them here in the background. And there's the original one, so I'm not messing with it. So what I want to do is I want to make this a bit thicker. So while we're on this layer here, we'll go to multiply, thicken, bring up the numerical by N on your keyboard. Make sure you've got two segments and the algorithm is normal. So it's using the normals, and it's just going to bring it out. And bring it out a little bit so it's like a thick belt. And so once you're happy, press spacebar, turn on the other layer, and then what you'll get is you'll get this kind of rim now that looks like a belt. But what we can do is we can, for the actual metal bit of the actual image, we'll keep using what we've got. So this time, let's say, how big do we want the buckle? Let's say this. So those polys there, we want it to be a buckle. So I'm going to Control C again, and then Control V. So we've got this. However, this isn't enough polys to kind of do what I want to do, so I want a hole in it. So this is where the detail, edit edge, and what we're going to do is we're going to come over one of the rows going down, and when you see the little dot, we're going to click it and we're going to pull it up, and then again, look here, click, and we're going to pull it up, and then we're going to not click, but I'm going to grab and I'm going to pull it to the side. So what we're doing, we're manipulating the shape of the actual polys and lines, so we end up with this. So I've added 2 rows, and then what I can do is select these 2 polys and just press delete. So we're left with this now. So let's just thicken it, multiply, thicken, same options, thicken it a bit like this, depending on how thick you want it. That's fine. Press spacebar, and then let's have a look. And what we've got now is we've got this that we just need to texture. So we've got the kind of basic shape of the hat, and again, like I said, you can change and manipulate this as much as you want, make it higher, and again, like I said, it's a little bit long. We can kind of come in and you can stretch it in and manipulate it as much as you want, and again, you can still kind of come in. So when you press spacebar, look, with no tools, it jumps between your elements. So you could come in here, and I could say, let's say for instance I select a few edges along the same loop, and then loop it. It will select that loop. Let's do it again with maybe this loop, or you could just do it with the points or polys. There's nothing then to stop you kind of coming in here and kind of stretching stuff out and manipulating how wide, you know what I mean, this goes. Even move it up a bit, you know, with the move tool we can move it a bit further up, so you can kind of start manipulating it to whatever way you want, really. It's completely up to you. You're just pushing and pulling geometry around to make the actual shape you want. But yeah, so this is the kind of basic shape of the hat, and the last thing I did was to make a little this little 4-leaf clover here. So to do this on a new layer, all I did, I went to create box, drew out a basic kind of square, brought up my numerical, added say 4 segments along each X and Y. So we're looking down at it, so we've got this, and then what I did is I went to modify drag. Now if you just look at the clover, it's just like a heart. So I just made a heart shape by moving these around. So with the drag tool, I literally thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to make a heart. So kind of, okay. So all I'm doing is like pushing and pulling the different elements, look. So what I end up with, and it can be as crude as you want, let's say that. So what I've got now is this little heart shape. So let's just multiply and thicken it. We'll use the same section as before, and if we look on here, you can see what I've got. And then once I've done that and I've got this crude shape, we're just going to press the tab key again to smooth it. Once you smooth it, you can see what it kind of looks like here, and then you can say, okay, I need to kind of manipulate it a bit more so it looks more like the clover, or goes thin at the sides, maybe, you know what I mean, this kind of thing. And again, it's just a matter of playing around and coming up with a shape. Once you've done that, let's center it. So I've centered it. I'm just going to use the move tool, and I'm going to move it up so it's roughly about here. So the reason I've done that is because you see this darker line, that's the center of my whole grid, and I want to use what's called an array tool just to make another 3 rather than copy and paste or remake them. So while you're on this, make sure you're on polys. Let's just make a selection of it like so. Let's go to multiply, array, bring up the numerical, put it on radar. Where it says count, let's make it 4, and then you see this little cross here. Let's just move it so to where I kind of want it. Let's just say there, and you can numerically change it, but I'm happy with that. And then what you've got is like the kind of shape for your kind of clover there. Look, simple as that. And the next bit is you just need some kind of little stalk. Now I crudely did this, like the kind of model itself really, is I just used a disc tool, and again we'll just do it in this side. So let's just get the disc, we'll zoom right in here, look, so, and then we'll do a little disc, just something like this. And then what I'll do is, let's say we'll pull it down to there, bring up the numerical, because I want other segments going through it. Can you see here? I need some segments just so I can rotate them when I put them into position. Okay, so what I've got literally there is the actual 4-leaf clover with a kind of vine, but let's put the vine just below. So I'm moving it down, look, so it's just below it. So now what I've got to do is, I've just got to move this into place, shrink it down, move it into place, ready for me to kind of be happy with really. So size tool, so multiply size, let's shrink it right down to roughly what size we kind of want it. And then what I'm going to do, and I'm going to skip this bit because all you're doing is using the move and rotate in the top right, the top right and front, to move it so it's literally stuck at the side of the hat here. So I'm just going to skip this because all I'm going to do, look, is I'm just going to move it into place really. Do you know what I mean? Zoom out, and then I can get this moved and kind of move it, and then you can rotate it to where you kind of want it. Okay, so I've moved it roughly into position, and I've just stuck it just inside there. In fact, I've got it the wrong way around. So let's just make a selection like so, put all the layers on, and let me just rotate it, and then we can kind of slowly kind of move it back into position to where we kind of want it. So I mean, what we're aiming for is obviously the clover to be just inside the little belt buckle kind of shape and stuff, so it kind of is sticking up and stuff. Now with the actual vine itself, we don't necessarily need all of it, so it might be that this part we just delete because we don't need it all, we just need the bit to stick in like so. So once I've actually stuck it in and I've got it all the shape I can where I want to, and again it's just move and rotate, all I did was name the layers. In fact, you could just put them all on the same layer if you want to do that. You select them all, you control X and then control V, so they're all on the same layer. And then with the layers, all I did was give them names. So for instance, even though I've put them all on separate layers, I can just select one poly to do with this main hat, and then under selections you can go to connected and it will select everything, and we can just press Q on your keyboard, call it main hat, give it a colour, some kind of green colour, maybe that one. Okay, smoothing. Okay, and then drop the selection, and then we've got it like that. The buckle itself, remember, that was on its own layer, so again select, connected, Q, buckle, brown. Okay, and then the metal bit of it, I don't know what this is called. I'm just going to call it metal. Let's just give it a yellowy gold colour, that'll do. So you can see how quickly I'm doing this now. And then the kind of clover bit, again selecting a polygon from each. The little square brackets is a shortcut for it. And then let's just call this leaves. give it a slightly different colour, like so. And then you've got the stalk, but you're left with the kind of basic shape of the hat, which is all manipulated. So I've done this one. It is if you just load my other one in, it's again different again, because I think this one looks this one's a lot taller than I did, and I think I made this just a bit thinner. So with this one, it's more thicker. But you can make this way. I mean, I'm doing it quick. If you take your time, you can make cowboy hats and all types of hats, just low poly like this, that you're manipulating to come up with a kind of style that you like. So hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial, and you've learned something, and you've made yourself a little hat. So thanks for listening. Happy St. Patrick's Day.